1990 and 1991. I was a half scholarship football add-on late in the signing period. Good 2A player that didn't have a lot of offers beyond the big schools or at the big school level. One of my teammates and I, Paul Cates, were both offered a half ride each to kind of fill out the roster more than anything it felt like. Came in as a wide receiver and a place kicker, and it was about 3 days of camp. Ended up a punter. And Coach Andrus, who is really the reason I've been able to do the things I did on the football field, brought me in the office after about 3 days of camp and said, hey, quit trying to be a receiver here. I need a punter. You're an athlete. If you'll listen to me, I'll turn you into an All-American punter, and the rest is history, so they say. So those 2 years were fantastic. Just lucky to be here. It was near home. At that point, that mattered to me. Football was the driving force to get me in the school system here. But once I got in here, it was, looking back in hindsight, it was a big benefit coming to the Valley here and getting a couple of years of course credit and getting a GPA that I could transfer onto a bigger school. Coach Andrus would have to be the top of that list. Big A, as we called him, just an imposing figure. Everybody loved him, everybody respected him. His voice carried in a room, and like I said, he brought me in the office, said, I need a punter. I think you can do it. And keep in mind, I hadn't been a punter before here. And he spent the time. He took me to the practice field for extra workouts. He had a stopwatch on me. He gave me some instruction. And then with a little bit of natural ability to kick a football from some youth soccer, he made it happen for me. But there's so many beyond that. Coach Pippen was a big influence, a disciplinarian. We needed that. He was a big part of that for us. And then just in campus in general, like Miss Long is a math teacher, Jerry Pirtle, my trigonometry teacher, Mr. Loper was my accounting teacher, and I probably let him down in the classroom. Probably wasn't quite the student I needed to be back then, but I know a lot of accounting now in the world I live in now because of my time here. The experience and the friendships I developed with the other programs, especially CJ Russell, the cheerleading program. We were close, and a bunch of those cheerleaders that CJ coached followed along with me up to Oklahoma State, and we still, to this day, carry a relationship. So many influences in a year and a half of life, that at 50 years old, I still lean on and still reflect on today. It's tight-knit. It's a family atmosphere for sure. It might be the college level, but you still feel like you're in a 2A or 3A environment. You eat dinner and you eat breakfast and you eat lunch with your friends every day that cross different program lines that come from different areas of the state, even the world or the country. And you get to know people that way, and you're close. You see them, you share classes with them. So for a lot of kids, especially myself that came from a small 2A high school experience, it would have been overwhelming to be thrown in an auditorium with 200 kids at a university. Whereas here, I'm getting collegiate level academics in those first couple of years of college at a small school feel and environment with people that I was comfortable with. There's some that we started. I mentioned the cheerleaders, obviously the power and the strength of that program and that presence everywhere you went. It was like a show within the show. My dad has told me for years that there's no better bang for your buck than a Saturday junior college football game. You're going to get a great halftime show. You're going to get great cheerleaders, and the football game is going to be really good too. And it's just as good as it gets. We had different traditions here of the Bunny Rabbit Road Run during our conditioning week in spring football. I remember running that Bunny Rabbit Road, and nobody liked it, but it never leaves you with the program. And then other than that, we like I said, we created a few traditions and chants that have lived on for a few years. I don't know if they're still there, but there were some things that we left for the Cardinals that followed us. If you fast forward it to where I'm at now, today, I've come back to the area. I'm a school superintendent. I got in the education field. I stayed in the athletic world as a coach for a long time and moved that into administration now. But obviously, like I said, those relationships that you build. Now I'm back as a school superintendent who's now working from the other side of the table with Trinity Valley, and some of those relationships are still there. Dr. King, remembered me like I was still a student here. And I know Mike Peak and I had talked, and so sorry to hear about his loss, but Mike Peak was such an influence on me as a young kid. But now to be an administrator, be able to have that relationship where now I am stewarding kids into this experience. I've got a son who's Phi Theta Kappa here at Trinity Valley right now. So it's big and it means a lot to you. And you just kind of keep that cardinal sign with you because you were a part of that, and you see it pay off when you come back later in life. Obviously, to the family, it was a way to get a couple years of education at a little bit better price than you would get anywhere else to them. But those loyalties never leave. It's unique. It's hard to say it, but my wife had to go to Tyler Junior College for a little bit. She never hears the end of it for me. We're Valley people. We're from the Valley, but it just matters. You are proud to wear that red and white. You see that cardinal, and you watch the Netflix special and you start cheering openly during the special because that's your people. And I don't know any of those people from Adam today. I'd love to meet them and introduce myself to them, but it just matters to be a Cardinal. It was part of what you did. It shaped you. It molded you. It's probably for me, it's what moved me to a 4-year university and made the choice to go into education because of those experiences, and you just can't trade it. The fact that so many people have influenced this institution for so many years in so many different ways, from Coach Spencer to CJ and so forth and so on. The fact that my year and a half here left an impression on anyone as just a punter on a football team, it meant the world. It's probably, without question, as an athlete, a former athlete, the greatest honor I've ever had bestowed at my feet, and I've been lucky in that regard. Really feel a little bit I don't know what the word is, but humbled beyond belief that I'm even considered in the same category with a lot of those names, like Nick Van Exel and so forth and so on. My job is an educator and to encourage kids to continue their education after high school. I would tell any kids that see this is the place to be. If you're trying to just get a start at a 4-year degree, or what's better nowadays and even what it was back in 1990 and 91, the 2-year vocational programs open so many doors and career paths now, and Trinity Valley's second to none with everybody that they compete with in that regard. I would recommend it to anybody, to any parent, that this is the place to send your kids, whether it be for a 4-year or a 2-year education. My name is Scott Tyner, and I am TVCC.